Now, I'm not going to post them because this is not the place, but if you see pictures of what she looks like during her autopsy, you'll see where the blood pooled. And it's one of those, it's not even like, oh, a big red blotch. It's just the blotchiness. It would be on her chest and her stomach and everywhere else from laying on her face. So if you look at those pictures and go, well, why does she look so blotchy? That's why. Now, there's some things that obviously need to be pointed out. These are all the pills, but there was no water in the room. There was no glass of water, anything. Eunice said she did not eat or drink anything all day, so how would she get all of those down? And why does her room look like this? What is going on? I mean, it's talked about how her room is like sparsely decorated or whatever, but Marilyn doesn't strike me as the kind of person who would just leave piles of shit against her walls and on her dresser. Oh, and look, there's Eunice coming out of her bedroom. Again, I just don't understand. I mean, we know people were looking for things in her house, but why is her room so torn up? Why is there just stuff everywhere? If you look at the other photos of her home in Brentwood, which I think you can find it on YouTube, they have like a trail of just going through the house the day that they picked her up. It's nicely decorated. It's clean. She doesn't have a bunch of stuff stacked in corners. So again, that's weird. Another thing I find strange is that you're supposed to do an autopsy first, but they took her to the funeral home and then they took her to the coroner's office because they were like, wait, no, you have to do this part. A few things to consider. Eunice was doing laundry when she was dead. There were 15 bottles, but they only reported 8 in the report. So here's one of the pieces from the autopsy. This is basically just talking about her medical scars from, incisions. We all know the please doctor leave the ovaries story. So that's the front. They said no needle marks, which again, you're laying face down. Your blood is going to pool. It's going to congeal. You're not going to find them. Now this one I find interesting. This is the back. She had fresh bruises on her hips, and then I believe it was the left shoulder. If you look at the pictures of her laying there, you can see them. And again, she wasn't dying on her back. She should not have blood pooled there. Remember when she said Bobby was pushing her around? We don't know anything about that, but here's this. Like I pointed out, it's most likely she died elsewhere in the guest cottage and was moved. 2 fresh bruises on her hip and her back. Those are a sign of violence. So again, they take her to the funeral home and they're like, no, bring her back to the coroner's office. We need an autopsy. This is what happens. How does it all disappear? So this doesn't cover everything, but I did notice this. Another thing to point out is she was only 117 pounds. She was a little lady. She was taking drugs that were way too strong for her. But that still doesn't explain the broken glass to me.